How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to the Hall of Film podcast. Now, today is a absolute great time because I am talking about one of my favourite films of all time with two of my favourite people and one of the best podcasts in the film space you can go and listen to at the minute. We are talking about, as you can see on the title, 1982, John Carpenter's masterpiece, The Thing. And my guests are one returning from his Gladiator episode and another person debuting. It is Cinekyle and Benver, the Mile High movie guy, together, both the Cinemillennials. And gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on here to talk about The Thing.
Thank you, Morgan. Happy to be here.
It is an honor and a pleasure, sir.
Now, in the true spirit of Cinemillennials, I'm going to give a brief rundown of The Thing. Its budget was $15 million, and at the box office, it famously only made $20 million. On IMDb, it has an 8.2. On Letterboxd, it's got a 4.4. And on Metacritic, it's got an 8.8 rating. So, considering this film was originally a flop, it's fair to say that it's kind of become one of the highest regarded films really of all time by the ratings on some of these websites. And I mean, both of you can both answer to this. What was it about The Thing that you chose and wanted to talk about on this podcast?
I think one of my reasons for reaching out was because if anyone has listened to Cinemillennials before, we did a Mount Rushmore episode where we created the four faces of horror, and John McCready from The Thing actually made it. We had The Thing representing us there, so I thought that would be an excellent reason for us to come and finally collaborate with you here at the Hall of Film. Is there anything you want to add on that, Ben?
Oh, well, it is my all-time favorite horror film, and it is perhaps my all-time favorite film. And I'm just a big John Carpenter guy. I love it. When Morgan pitched this idea to us, and then Kyle threw the idea over to me, I thought it was great, and I thought it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and it's like John Carpenter for me is one of those guys. He's really respected and loved, but I also still think he's kind of underrated because people just know, maybe they only know The Thing or Halloween, but he's got like a deep filmography of really, really great high quality films, and I just find he can write such an iconic character with ease. Like, we'll be talking about that later on, but I mean, what would you say your guys' relationship is with Carpenter films?
Now after this year, strong. I didn't end up making my way through the entirety of his filmography, but I got pretty close and I hit most of the highlights. He was another director we covered for spooky season this year, and my relationship prior, I had no real knowledge because I wasn't a big horror guy. I only watched The Thing for the first time was it 2 years ago, excuse me. And immediately fell in love because I hadn't been exposed to these kind of practical effects before. I wasn't big in the horror space. So not only was he like a great bridge into getting into horror for me, he had the continuity afterwards. I dove into Halloween this last year, and again, it was like as soon as I saw it, just complete masterpiece. It's like how did I go this long without watching this stuff before?
Yeah, no, I always love John Carpenter just mainly for The Thing and Halloween and just how big those movies are in the horror space. And then when we deep dived on our pod this past year and tried to get through, I got through most of his filmography, and it's just all very influential, and it's just a lot of iconic stuff. I mean, from, Snake Plissken to the characters that I believe inspired like Raiden in Mortal Kombat and other characters like that from like Big Trouble in Little China. And it's just that he just kind of has his fingerprints just like all over Hollywood. So it's just really neat to see like all that stuff in its original phase, and it was a lot of fun to watch a lot of those movies.
And
Yeah.
not to cut you here off, Morgan, but just how he's like the jack of all trades, how he's the real CEO on the production, running, doing the score, overseeing the effects. He really had his hands in everything, and you don't always see that. There's a lot of directors that have very specific roles, and then you have the director that was really hands on with everything. And I think Carpenter was also, huge in that way.
Yeah. 100%. I also feel like he's one of those guys. He's not only a jack of all trades as a filmmaker, he's also just that in what his films are. Like, he covers such a wide array of genres, and I feel like every time he does it, it pays off, and it doesn't ever feel like too much of a stretch for his writing and directing.
No, I agree completely.
I mean, we'll start off with like the hardest question. How do you think the thing has influenced the industry?
You want to start with that one, Ben?
Well, I think, obviously, so as for those that don't know, when the thing originally came out, it bombed. Audiences did not connect with it. They didn't like it. A lot of them were like grossed out by it. Obviously, there's some stuff with some dogs in there that's a little sensitive to some people. So people kind of wrote Carpenter and all of them off with this because it was too dark. It was that nihilistic ending and everything like that. And then with like home video and stuff like that is then we started to see it get this gigantic cult following, and all these people started to get into it. And that's kind of like where I'd first heard that when I saw it back in high school, as everybody said, it was a really big cult film, and checking it out and then just seeing, I mean, like the effects, it's some of the best in the business. Like you're not, when people talk practical effects, I would put it's The Thing is always the number one thing that I'm going to say. And it's, watching like, you seeing practical effects like that and watching like another film that I really love, which was the Evil Dead remake from 2013 with Fede Alvarez. And it's just that dedication to taking the time and the effort and everything to do those effects. And they just all hold up so well. Like if you told me the thing was made yesterday, I would believe you. It looks that great to this day.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too that he used the space here, even though we have these great effects. Like the real horror of the film is like the paranoia of you don't know who to trust. You don't know where this thing is at any given moment. And it's not that it was the first time this had existed. I thought it was an interesting talking point that with all of these great effects, that you could argue isn't even the real monster here.
Yeah. Yeah. I also love the fact that Carpenter didn't come back for a sequel. He didn't. He doesn't even explain at the end who is the thing, if it's still alive, and only he knows, and he will never say. Which I love him for that, because other directors would probably milk it and then do a sequel 30 years later, and everyone goes, "What the hell? Why have we done this?"
Right, because it would probably be a pretty easy paycheck if they really wanted to.
That's
And
what I appreciate about him.
They did make the prequel in 2011. I actually had the pleasure of checking that out yesterday because I had never watched it before. I don't know if you have any exposure to it, but wow, it's a good thing they didn't revisit, because that was bad. It's like if they hadn't made that, it almost would have been better for the story of the thing as a whole, because going in, we know what's going to happen. It's a prequel. We know how the thing ends. So they made some interesting decisions that I wouldn't stand by. And if anyone is thinking about, hey, the 1982 thing is a classic, should I check out the 2011 one? I'm going to say go ahead and pass.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. It's the one interesting thing that I did pull from the 2011 one.
What's that?
Was the fact that it can't like replicate like inorganic matter. So like earrings and like molars or fillers and stuff like that. So the only thing that I legitimately want to know, actually I don't want to know, but my biggest question is if that is true, because if you watch really carefully, you can see an earring on Childs at the end.
So that would imply that if we're using the prequels, set rules, that would
Yes.
imply that Childs could not be the thing.
Right. And that's all if
Okay.
that is actually, but that's just one of the big things. That was the only thing I took from that. And I was like, well, because if you watch carefully, you can see with the light, it reflects off his like earring. And I was like, well, he might not be the thing, or maybe none of them are the thing. Maybe both of them are the thing. That's what we don't know. But that's the
Yeah.
wonder of it, is that you don't get a definitive answer, and then you kind of just get to decide what it's going to be for yourself.
Well, like as well, I know they did the Thing video game, which John Carpenter did say he endorsed it as canon, and he said it was a sequel. And like when the character goes there, he's there to find out what happened to the crew, and like they say in it that neither of them were the Thing. So technically, I guess that is canon.
Okay.
But it's like. I kind of had that feeling at the end of the film anyway. I don't know about you guys, but like the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't think either of them are the Thing, and it turns out that might actually be canon.
That's how I've always felt about the ending. And that's, I think, maybe not the ending I expected, but at least the ending that I was okay with. And that's how I let it be in my head, that they were both good. They were all set. They did what they had to do, and then they were just gonna sit there, finish off the last of the booze, and eventually pass on, with how cold it was gonna be once the fires go away. So I wanted to believe that ending, but it is left ambiguous. So how could we know?
Yeah. I do think as well, like Ben obviously mentioned, rightfully so, like the cult status. Off the top of my head, I would say this is kind of the definitive cult film. Like I just don't think there's been a film that kind of flopped so hard at the beginning and then has turned around and, well, you heard the ratings that people rate it across different, movie rating websites. It's just one of the like highest regard films, let alone horrors, just films in general. Like people adore the Thing, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I can't think of a film that has had a bigger turnaround in that aspect. I don't know if you've got anything, Ben, but this to me feels like the one, because this was in the basement, right after it happened. And to look back on that now, it feels kind of crazy. It feels like it's not real,
Well, because I think I brought it up on our episode, but I'm pretty sure Roger Ebert like absolutely panned this movie and said it looked terrible, it was awful. So even people that are considered the absolute best in their trade can be wrong. Anyone can be wrong. It was a film. I would argue that probably a little before its time, but also I think when we touched on like E.T. had came out, it was either 2 weeks after or 2 weeks I think it was 2 weeks prior. And so seeing a friendly alien that everybody loved in a Steven Spielberg movie, and then 2 weeks later seeing the absolute other end of the spectrum of running into intelligent life, I think it was a little too jarring for the 80s for people.
Yeah. Because with E.T. coming out as well, obviously family friendly, happy ending, and then you've got this monstrous, like, especially for the 80s, like the practical effects on that. Nobody had seen nothing that gross before on film, and like when it come out as well, people called it an Alien ripoff, which I find quite funny. But I also,
I don't
I get what
understand that one.
the
Sorry
only
to
way the only way I understand that is because like the tension building because they don't know who's like infected. You have that a little bit in the Alien when they don't know, like when they split up, like they don't know whether somebody's got a chest burster in them or nothing, and it's kind of paranoia. But other than that, I do not see the comparison.
I just feel like why it feels so like it feels like there's so much of a gap between the two is because Alien is so claustrophobic.
You're
And
right.
you don't get that in the Thing, because although it is Antarctica and it's, very dark most of the time, and you can't really see too far ahead if you're outside because of all the wind and snow blowing, but you don't have that claustrophobia feeling. It's more of,
Isolation.
yeah, it's more isolated. You're feeling for the guys in this situation, but even when they're down in the tunnels getting ready to do that, I don't feel nearly as claustrophobic as you do in the alien setting, where it's like you're in this tight ship and you have no idea where the alien is coming from. You
Right.
know, it's I guess I can see the comparison, but I feel like, you're just kind of reaching at straws, being like, well, they both have an alien, so that's why
Right,
they're
right.
related.
Well,
I
it's
think
actually
where
really funny.
So
Well, I watched that documentary on the making of The Thing yesterday, and John Carpenter had actually said that he was really happy that um it wasn't a guy in a suit at the end of it. And he said even in
right.
Alien, which is wonderful film, it's awesome and everything, and he said it's still like at the very end, the thing stands, it's a guy in a suit.
right.
Yeah. 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 I think the better comparison in terms of obviously not the claustrophobia, but how it's a wide scale setting, but because of the isolation, it feels smaller than it is The Shining. Because again, that's
Hmm.
like in a big open place, but you still don't feel like, oh, they can just drive away because of the snow and they're trapped and they're isolated and then
That is a
crazy
good
things go on.
comparison.
I think that's more like the comparison it should have in how it feels as a film.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
I
that.
had never thought of that, but that's a great comparison. It makes an excellent
That's
point.
the thing, because I mean, the Overlook Hotel is gigantic, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's you're stuck
And,
here. You're
and
supposed to be caretaken, during a gigantic storm.
right, and the most moment where you feel most claustrophobic with that is the maze. It's
Yep.
only that one bit because the rest of it just feels like, oh man, they are in the middle of nowhere. There's no help coming. It's the same feeling with The Thing. It's like they're stuck.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yep. There's nowhere to
Um,
run and nowhere to hide.
Right. All the
and
vehicles are destroyed.
right. Another question again that we're kind of touching on already, but why do you think The Thing is still as popular, seemingly now, obviously, than ever?
I would say because the cast is also, I was going to bring this up earlier, but for the time, like the cast is so strong. Like it's a great Kurt Russell. You have Keith David in here, Wilfred Brimley. I mean, I'm surprised it flopped on that alone, because it feels like it had enough names and maybe they just weren't the stars that they were going to be, but I I feel like that is a place I go back to with where it's stood up. Um,
It's a
uh,
super diverse cast as well, which you'd
yes,
think would be a big hit. And not only that, it breaks the horror trope of the black guy dies first in the film because it doesn't happen in this.
right. Yeah, that's a great point.
That's the thing. Yeah, subverting expectations during the time period. I think also the fact that when I was watching and they did, so like a lot of most of the indoor shots and stuff were done at Universal, and then for like their outdoor shots, some of the outdoor shots were in Alaska, but then they had a set of the actual outpost was in Stewart, British Columbia, and so I was just listening to them like talk about their experience of, like going up there and filming, and that they really found a sense of camaraderie with each other and just like the bonding and really able to just kind of dive into the characters. And I feel like because the Carpenter said this was like the longest I think he ever spent from like when he walked into his office to start to when it was finished, that it was like a year, and that normally you don't get that kind of time period to do a film like that. And so I think the extra time that they all spent together, I think it really shows on screen, and it really shows their chemistry.
Yeah, they do feel like a tight knit bunch that have been together, but also when they are so quick to argue, it does feel like they have been together for like probably more longer than they should have, and they're easy to point the blame and just turn on each other, which I think's captured really well.
and I think you don't really get it until you go back on a rewatch, but there's no clear like main character
Yeah,
energy at all.
No,
Like, yeah, we have McCready, but outside of that,
but
like,
he doesn't even like want to be leader.
right.
He'll just, I mean, I gotta step up when I gotta step up. Like I gotta do it because I gotta do it, not because I want to do it.
again, it's such an iconic film with so many great scenes, but Are there any scenes in this film that are your guys' favourites?
Let you start, Ben.
Well, then I'll just take the super iconic one, which is the one where he's sitting there trying to resuscitate him, and his arms go through, and they chomp him off, and then his head rips off, and then it sprouts the legs and the eye. I mean, that whole it's crazy. And then listening to them just like talk about like how they did it and everything, because so like the doctor, they actually had gotten an amputee, and then so the arms that get crunched, it was like wax bones and like gelatin, and then they actually made a mask to put over the amputee. And it looks exactly like the doctor's face. So when he's like pulling back, that's supposed to be him, and it's not actually the actor. So learning a bunch of cool stuff like that made that scene even more cool. But it's just the most iconic scene, I would say, from The Thing.
Yeah. How about you, Cole?
Well, I was going to say that's also probably the biggest jump scare as well.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite scene to watch with anybody who's never seen The Thing. I mean, my wife Dakota, we watched it a couple of years ago when we actually first moved into our new apartment, and she just kind of forgot about it, and then it scared her again. So it's a gift that keeps on giving.
I would say my scene is probably low-hanging fruit, but the blood test scene, just because the way it's, the tension that's built going around the room, and each time he's hitting it, with the heated up whatever that he's got there needle, and nothing's happening, so we're quickly realizing, okay, maybe everyone's good here. And then when it finally happens, as we're talking about jump scares, that's another one where for the first time that really will get you, where the blood finally reacts and we see something happen. But yeah, I love that scene. I love the way the tension is built. I love that we have everybody's name, that we're actually finally learning something. This feels like the point in the movie where John Carpenter's finally given us one, rather than us being, completely in the dark. I think it's impossible to talk about The Thing without talking about that scene.
That's true. And actually kind of rounding it off nicely, my favourite scene's probably it's the first scene with the dog when it transforms.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Just as soon as that dog's walking down that walkway to the cage, that dog actor is incredible, because it walks so undog-like. It's really unsettling. And then,
to the unsettling bit, when the dog gets into the kennel with the rest of them and then just sits down on all fours and stares straight ahead, that right there for me is like, to your point of it being unsettling, is like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah. The cool thing about that is the dog was, if you look carefully, when it's not lit, it's not a real dog. If there's no light on the dog, it's because they couldn't light fake fur, because it looks weird.
Right. But yeah, that when it just starts transforming, and it is that's probably the most unsettling, gory bit of the film, which has a lot of gore, but especially because it's to dogs, and like how they just crafted some of those animatronics and practical effects. It is really terrifying.
Well, it was actually, it was cool, because that was the one thing that Rob Bottin actually didn't do, because he had a bit of overload, and so he actually asked Stan Winston to step in and help him with that. So Stan Winston and his team actually did the dog design, and so it was like a combination of like an animatronic face and a puppet.
Right. It's just that moment when the dog's head splits open, you're like, what the hell am I watching?
Well, I think that's a great point to look at, in the sense that because we don't know what this creature is supposed to look like it's not just a scary creature, or because we don't know what it's ever going to look like. There's no consistent shape. Like, John Carpenter created the perfect enemy here, in the sense that there are no rules with it. We don't know what it could transform into at any given moment.
That's why it works so well.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that, and I never really thought about it until they said it in the documentary, but so the thing, it turns into shape. Well, obviously we don't know what its like original form looks like, but it turns into like whatever it's absorbed in the past. So like any of the stuff it's turning into could have been something it absorbed on another planet before it crash landed on Earth.
That's true.
So when it's like turning into like the spider thing and like the weird like crab thing and all that stuff. So like it could have done that on a whole nother planet.
Oh, and so in theory, we don't have any idea
Yeah,
of
so we have
what
no
the
idea
original
where
being
he's
actually
been
is.
or what it actually looks like, but we know that it takes the form of whatever life form it's encountered. So all that other stuff it's encountered at some point, which is why like when it turns into the like the Wilford Brimley monster at the end, and it has like the dog and it has Wilford Brimley and it just has like all these different parts.
Right.
And it's just what it's been able to absorb.
I think that's why it's a perfect horror film and why it's managed to stand the test of time, because there's so many questions about the creature, the characters, the ending, everything. And you constantly want to keep going back to try and go, can I figure just this little thing out? And I think that's the beauty.
Where would you guys put this as far as like body horror movies go? Is it
Number one
in
for
top
me.
5? Number
It's
one, really, even like over The Fly.
I think for me as
Brendo
well,
Fly.
what it is for me, and I think your guys understand this, like it's kind of transcended the genre of body horror. It's like people just look at it and go, that is an iconic film. Just that's how they end it. Whereas like
That's
maybe
fair.
for the Fly, The Substance, it's like, oh yeah, that's an iconic body horror film and a great film. Like nobody's going to go, oh, that might be my like number one, I think best quality film ever. But people do that with The Thing. And to
That's
do that
fair.
with a body horror genre is crazy, because that is a genre a lot of people get turned off by.
True. It is. I would say on that, it is one of the most accessible body horror
Yes.
movies. You know, if you're trying to get in,
Yeah.
like it.
Actually,
Because-
that's a very good point. Yeah, that would be a great stepping stone for somebody.
It's the gateway drug to this just brilliant genre.
Well, and although we're saying how great the effects are, it's not like even though they're great, we can still tell it's not real. It's not like seeing some of the effects today where you watch it and it's like, oh my God, I could see that happening to my own body.
Well, it's again, I go to The Substance. That moment when she pulls the chicken drumstick out of her belly button, it painfully looks real. Like it looks so real. It's hot. Everything in that film looks too real.
Yeah, no,
I just splashed water on my face. That movie got me too good.
I had to splash water on my face when I just saw Dennis Quaid eating shrimp.
Oh my God, yeah, that is the worst. Oh, the zipper up the back. You know, we don't need to stay on The Substance, but man, that movie still gives me the ickies.
It's great. It's great. Moving on to, obviously we've touched on some of the bits of the films and we'll continue to, but we've got to move on to some of the facts, because there are so many facts about The Thing. Because if there's anything about John Carpenter, this man goes in depth and in depth only, so you can always find a bunch of different facts. One of my favourite facts I learnt whilst researching for this, in the British Antarctic Research Stations in Antarctica, it's now tradition on the Midwinter Festival on the 21st of June that they all sit down and watch The Thing together.
That's awesome. I mean,
makes me want to watch it with them in spirit.
It's both beautiful and horrific, because you're isolated in Antarctica watching a film about people isolated in Antarctica where just this all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, I could imagine if like any random wildlife shows up in the next like couple days, it's like, guys, what's going on over here?
Keep it separate from everyone else.
If their Alaskan Malamute starts acting up, they are going to shit themselves.
Yeah, no kidding.
Another fact as well, which, do you either of you gentlemen speak Norwegian by any chance?
Surprisingly, no.
Yeah, no, it's a no for me as well.
Well, obviously, first scene, they're chasing the dog, and it's the Norwegian pilot. And when the guy's running and he's shouting at them, and he's shouting in Norwegian, if you're Norwegian, you actually get you get the spoiler immediately, because the pilot tells them in Norwegian, "Get the hell out of here. That's not a dog. It's some sort of thing. It's imitating a dog. It isn't real. Get out the way, you idiots."
Wow.
So yeah, if you're Norwegian and you watch The Thing, you're like, oh, okay, so the dog's not a dog.
Dude, how about John Carpenter making his movie being like, yeah, we're just going to spoil it, but the chance that, like, people are seeing this in Norway at this time, like, you know,
Yeah,
probably pretty slim, so.
If you're Scandinavian, the film was spoiled.
Yeah, right, yeah, wow. I didn't know that. I just assumed it was just kind of, you know, random shouting or whatever, but wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of the dog is called Jed. And it was an Alaskan Malamute wolf hybrid. And when it walks down the hallway searching for the human, it only took about 4 or 5 takes, which John Carpenter was blown away by, because obviously you're working with animals. You don't expect them to really nail it within the first probably 10 tries.
Right.
But this fact, I mean, if you're American and listening to this, you'll get a lot more out of this fact than probably anyone else. The dog's original owner was Henry Winkler's second cousin.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
Small world.
So yeah, Jed, the wolf dog, I guess you could say his uncle was the Fonz, which is just...
Hey, that's a cool fact.
Yeah.
What was Henry Winkler doing in 1982? Let's get him in the thing.
Yeah, I know, right? Of course, one thing that I love so much about The Thing is the score from my all-time favourite score maker, Ennio Morricone. There was unused pieces from The Thing that never got used, and Quentin Tarantino used them in The Hateful Eight.
Oh, wow.
The thing that's hilariously ironic, obviously, Hateful Eight, Ennio Morricone ended up winning an Oscar for the best score for The Hateful Eight. Reason why it's ironic, his score for The Thing, he was nominated for a Razzie for worst score.
Wow.
Absurd.
Talk about all-time cold takes.
There's a lot of cold takes for this movie.
No one can sit there with a straight face and tell me Ennio Morricone doesn't know how to make a good score.
Yeah, I mean, to say a Razzie, you know,
like Razzie level as well,
like,
is
insulting. That's
insulting.
what's absurd. Yeah, that's just someone actually trying to go for blood here. Like,
yeah, and it's funny because the same score won an Oscar for a different film and got a Razzie nomination for The Thing.
I mean, it could have also been a snapshot of the time too.
I think that perfectly encapsulates what the reaction was of The Thing.
Right.
The fact that people were like, this is a Razzie level film, like, what the hell's this? And now we're sat here praising it, going, no, it's one of the best films made.
Right, yeah, like, this is actually what every horror movie has been chasing ever since, like, trying to capture. I mean, at least from a effects standpoint, I would say modern CGI, like, still hasn't learned the right lessons from The Thing. Like, I
think as the big takeaway, filmmakers haven't, because they will cut corners with CGI rather than practical.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it is easier at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is easier, but if you're an artiste and you're trying to make a really good film, taking the longer time, I know studios have a say in this, but like, if you want the best quality, practical's always been the way, and it always will be.
I agree.
Yep.
Of course, I think the true MVP of this whole film and this whole production, it isn't the cast, it isn't Jed the wolf dog, it's not Carpenter. I do think it's Rob Bottin, the special effects, just genius. There's no other word to describe the man. He was only 22 when he worked on The Thing, which
wow, is
insane that a 22-year-old was like this creative and innovative. It's just, it's insane. He also worked on, do you know some of the other films that Rob Bottin worked on?
I know The Howling, I think he did right before this, and then Carpenter was like, get in the door, we're doing The Thing.
Right. So when I list some of these off, everything in the world makes sense because you're like, that's why it looks so good. So he worked on The Fog.
Okay.
He worked on RoboCop and designed the suit.
Oh, wow.
I didn't actually know that. That's cool.
He worked on Basic Instinct. He worked on Mission Impossible 1.
Wow.
He
That kinda
worked on
makes-
Fight
yeah.
Club. He
Wait,
worked
what
on
was that one?
on Fight Club.
Oh, Fight Club. Wow.
He also worked on Seven,
Damn.
which makes sense when it's the gluttony guy and he's like really messed up his body and everything.
Yeah.
That makes
Well,
so much sense.
It sounds like he tapped in with Fincher. Like,
Yeah.
Fincher picked up this
Yeah.
guy, so, like, damn.
And then I'll save personally the best till last. It's one of my favourite films. I adore it, and it makes all the sense in the world that Rob worked on it. Is Total Recall.
Oh, wow. The original.
Yes, yeah. So, like, when you think of the head blowing up and the eyes popping out, that's Rob. That's got
Yeah.
Rob's like fingerprints
That makes
all
sense.
over. Yeah.
No kidding.
The special effects budget for the thing was originally only $750,000, but they soon realised, like, not even that far in, they were going to have to raise it, and it ended up being 1.5 million. So 1.5 million of the 15 million budget was in special effects, and boy, can't you tell?
Yeah. I would be curious to see what that budget looks like today. How much
Yes.
inflation has changed that 1.5, because to me it is a giant percentage of the budget, but it doesn't sound like that bad, like that other people couldn't do it,
Yeah.
if you had the cash.
And just want to, when you think a 22-year-old kid did that as well, is incredible.
Yeah, I sure as hell wasn't doing that at 22.
And then, just speaking of like Rob's dedication on this film, he was hospitalised with double pneumonia and a bleeding ulcer whilst working on this film because he basically took 0 breaks and lived on set for a couple of days as well, working on stuff.
Damn, just dedicated to the game.
Yeah, I mean, he literally put his blood, sweat, and tears in this, and I mean, we can all tell that.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know who was originally almost going to direct the thing?
I do not.
I don't.
It was actually Toby Hooper.
Oh,
Texas
Chainsaw Massacre, yeah.
Yep.
Which would have been an interesting execution, because, like, I can't think, like, I know both horror, but, like, in terms of the level of what the thing is, it's quite a step up rather than just, like, a guy running around with a chainsaw just slicing people up.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I am as familiar. I think the only thing I really know that I've seen from him is Poltergeist.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Another fact that kind of blew my mind was the screenwriter for this, Bill Lancaster, who obviously did an incredible job. He actually wrote the script with Harrison Ford and Clint Eastwood in mind for MacReady.
Harrison Ford, I could see.
I could see Harrison Ford. I don't know if I could see Clint Eastwood.
No.
Clint Eastwood, each time I research for casting, Clint Eastwood keeps popping up in films where I love Clint Eastwood. He should not be anywhere near some of these.
I think he'd be distracting.
He'd be too serious.
He would be. He'd just be doing the Eastwood scowl.
Yeah, for real. Just like he doesn't trust anybody anyway. So like whatever.
Yeah, right. One thing that I just adored seeing, and it's my favourite thing I always do on the podcast, and I think everybody always enjoys it, was the alternative casting, what the thing could have looked like if certain casting decisions went certain ways. So we'll save MacReady actually till last because there are so many people that almost got this role over Kurt Russell. So for Gary, one of the people that was actually considered to play him, and I'm annoyed it didn't happen because I love this man, was Lee Van Cleef.
Ooh,
Oh.
I would have liked that.
I love Lee Van Cleef, and obviously him
Yeah.
and Carpenter work together. And I mean, Lee Van Cleef in anything's good, so that would have been fun. For Palmer, Rob Bottin actually wanted to play Palmer, but they were like, "Dude, you're doing enough." Like, no.
You've been even more exhausted.
Yeah. Because they wanted kind of a comedic guy to play him before David Clennon did. 3 people that were considered was Charles Fleischer, Gary Shandling, and Jay Leno.
Oh,
God, that would have been wild.
Yeah, so we go from Lee Van Cleef could have been in this great to Jay Leno could have been in this.
What a vast spectrum. That's crazy.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my god! Hey guys,
Welcome
it's the thing.
Welcome to the world of Welcome to the world of John Carpenter, ladies
Have you
and
seen this? Have you
gentlemen.
heard about this?
Oh my god, this thing, it's changing into all this other stuff.
Please, let's welcome in the thing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
For Blair, which obviously is one of the most important roles in the film, Carpenter actually wanted Donald Pleasance for the role.
I would have loved that.
That would have been
But
good.
but I love the thought behind it. Carpenter said the reason why it didn't happen, though, he was too well known and people would have been focusing on him watching the film.
Fair
Where
enough.
Wilford Brimley just melted into the background. You don't pay attention to him until you're like, oh shit.
Right.
And I think that's like that was the perfect need for Blair.
Let's actually real quick before, and I know we should have probably covered this earlier, but when do you think Blair turned? Because we know
really
he turns at one
question.
point, but like one of the questions I've always had with this movie is, was he right? Because he's right in the beginning about not being able to trust anything, but do we think he had been changed by the time he's smashing everything up, or was he still himself then, and then it's after he's brought out to the shack and left alone for a while that he's changed? When do you guys think that happens? Because I think that's pretty important to the storyline as well.
Well, who do
Well,
you
it's
think is the
like-
first person that gets turned?
That's the main question, yeah.
Because I
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
Palmer.
Okay, he's probably
Because
yes,
there's a scene where the dog's walking down the hallway and then stops and it looks in the room and he's like smoking weed or whatever. But the only thing
Yeah.
is that I'm pretty sure he's in there with Knowles, and Knowles definitely doesn't turn.
Well, and I was gonna say Clark is the one that everyone is suspecting as the first one, just because
Right.
of him being around the
Because of
dogs,
his
and we
exposure to
find
the
out-
dog.
and we
Yeah.
find out that he's not. So maybe Palmer.
Because the
And if
other
you think
big one
about it-
is, well, with Norris. Because the actor said that he thought when they asked him, like, do you want to, like, you should be leader? And he's like, I don't think I'm up for it. He thinks that his character subconsciously thought something wasn't wrong. Something was wrong with him.
Well, it's like if it was Palmer and it was at that moment, that's so early on in the film as well, which is such an interesting thought.
Yeah,
But with Blair as well, it's like I think gut reaction you're kind of being told to say, oh, probably just before he got put in the shack outside. But McCready goes to him and he's still fine and he's considering hanging himself.
right.
Which shows, like, obviously, so whether he knew he was infected, but even then, I don't think that's how it works. You still can't control yourself. So,
Right. I wonder.
Like, screw the ending and working out who's that. That's what I want Carpenter to answer. When's
Right.
Blair become the thing?
I could see that it was somewhere in between when he's been put out there and then when he goes out to talk to him and he says, I feel fine, like I'm all right, I think I can come
Yeah.
back now. I think at that point maybe he's already been turned.
Because
But-
realistically, all it takes is somebody to go out there when no one else is looking, open the thing,
Right.
go hi, and then bam.
Right, because it's that fast of a transfer.
So,
And
like,
not only that,
realistically,
but
someone
being-
could break off from him.
And being in the shack, that'd take long enough where he could transform fully into looking like Blair.
Yeah, exactly. No one's around to see or know what's happening. So
But if you're listening to this podcast, you answer that. When do you think Blair becomes a thing, and who's the first person infected?
Yeah, let us know.
Moving on, the alt casting. For Childs, there are some great ones. There was Jeffrey Holder was considered, which was, I always forget his name, but he was the guy in James Bond in Live and Let Die, the voodoo guy.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Holder just from that role. So, another person considered was Ernie Hudson.
Oh,
I could. Good. I do
I could
always love
see it,
Ernie
yeah.
Hudson.
Another one which I was like, okay, that would have been cool. Isaac Hayes.
Ooh, that'd have been another good one because I liked him in Escape from New York.
Yeah. Another guy was Bernie Casey.
I don't know if I'm familiar with Bernie.
Another one, which, I mean, this is my just like inner childhood of watching him in things going, man, that would have been good. But I mean, like Keith David is great for the role. But another person considered for Childs was Carl Weathers.
Ooh, another solid
would have
pick.
been. I mean, that's the thing. I would say Carl Weathers is the type of move that if you make that, your budget's definitely going up, but B, you may have less chance of a flop because now we're talking, a couple, heavy stars. Not that Keith David wasn't, but I think Carl Weathers was in a little bit of a different air, especially in the 80s.
Because he already would have done Rocky in the 70s.
Right.
And also Predator. No, was Predator after?
Predator would have been after, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But either way, like Carl Weathers was a name.
Yes, yeah.
And then coming to McCready, I mean, before I talk about the alternative casting, like it took Kurt Russell a year to grow the beard and hair out.
Wow.
Which
I mean, it is a pretty thick, nice beard, but
yeah. And I know as well, like obviously Ben mentioned it being filmed in California and some bits. I know for like to kind of make the breath more visible, they used to drag cigarettes in between the camera coming on them, so they'd actually like breathe out, and it's like, oh, okay, it's really cold there.
Oh wow!
Which I just think, yeah. For McCready, Russell was actually the last guy casted for the film.
Wow.
So the McCready role was their version of Tarantino trying to find his Christoph Waltz for Inglourious Bastards. Like he was just chasing the dragon. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I really want your guys' opinions on some of these castings because some are great, some are like, what the hell are we doing? So Christopher Walken was considered.
Oh, hey, what's going on? It's the thing over here, guys. He's a shape-shifting into us, my dudes.
Whoa! Yeah, so there is a world we could have had Christopher Walken and Jay Leno.
Oh my God, yeah. Wow. Here's the thing.
What a terrific audience.
Yeah.
Another person considered, and we go from ridiculous to, Jeff Bridges.
It's funny because sometimes I think Jeff Bridges and Kurt Russell kind of look very similar. So that would have been a very easy transition for me.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Another person considered was Nick Nolte.
I could see
hate it, but like I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be my choice, but I see it.
Yeah.
He's just so unserious.
Yeah. Those three were either unavailable or declined. Then you've got other ones
Oh, sorry, real quick. I just want to say, what if we got a Nick Nolte, John Carpenter team up, though? I think that actually wouldn't have been too bad. I'm surprised they didn't work together. Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. I'd say, again, going back to the fact this bombed, it kind of ruined Carpenter's reputation for a big bulk of his career, which, we could have missed out on a Nick Nolte, performance together where it was probably like whatever he was working on next, Nick Nolte was like, no, that guy flopped, I'm not working with him.
Right.
So they were either unavailable or declined. Then the studio kind of branched out and went, okay, let's talk to a bunch of people. So they spoke to Brian Dennehy. They spoke to John Hurd. They spoke to a man who also really does look like Kurt Russell. So in terms of visualizing McCready, this guy, I'm like, that's a natural fit for the look. Chris Christopherson.
I could see that.
I could have seen that. He would have fit right in.
Because close your eyes, he looks like McCready or constantly, so that works.
You've kind of still got me caught up on John Hurd here. I'm like, this is pre-Home Alone, but I guess, I don't know. I feel like he would have been a little too young. I don't know. I can't picture him grizzly. He's always so clean-shaven.
What's really funny is that Kurt Russell was only 30 whilst doing this.
Right, I guess, the beard really, ages.
Yeah, people looked older then.
Right. It was all the cigarettes.
Yeah. Another person that was considered was Ed Harris.
I don't hate that. I also love Ed Harris.
Yeah, I mean, I love Ed Harris. He could do it.
Another person was Scott Glenn.
I like Scott Glenn. I could see Scott Glenn in this movie, but not.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd
McCready.
see him as McCready. Yeah.
Tom Berenger. I think I've got that right, at least saying it.
Tom Berenger.
Platoon. Yep.
Tom Berenger. Yeah.
Sniper. I don't know. He's a little too too clean cut for John Carpenter.
And then
I think.
another person was Peter Coyote.
I don't know if I'm familiar with him.
Yeah, there was like a lot more as well that I wasn't super familiar with, but yeah, I mean, talk about how different could the thing look with some of these casting?
Yeah, I mean, outside of like Chris Christopherson, everything else.
We could have had Christopher Walken, Bernie Casey, Donald Pleasance, and Jay Leno.
Yeah, it would have just been a comedy. Is all it would have been.
It was Jay
an alternate
Leno
universe where this happened.
Yeah. I'm glad we're not in that one.
For real.
And then moving over to like the last section, I asked you both to prepare for this. The one, obviously, you guys touched on it. You've already done a deep dive into Carpenter films, so I asked you your top 5 John Carpenter films. You don't have to have them in a ranked order. They can just be your like top 5. So I will go first on mine. I did actually rank mine. So number 1, shock horror, I know, is The Thing. For all the reasons we've spoke about. Number 2, this is probably where we'll differ largely, is for me, They Live.
Wow.
I am a huge wrestling fan, so like Roddy Piper, I was like, that guy's made to be in movies, and then you watch him and you're like, yeah,
in that role.
Yeah, I came to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Right. Straight out of Duke Nukem.
Yes. Yeah. Number 3, I've got Big Trouble.
Very nice.
Number 4, I've got Halloween. And then number 5, I've got Escape from New York.
You want to go next, Ben?
I mean, like a top 5 Carpenter, there's no wrong answer. Like, he's top 5 at all iconic films.
Yeah.
All right. I have number 1, shocker. I'm gonna sense a theme here, but The Thing.
Oh wow,
number 2,
I didn't expect that.
I know, it's so weird. Number 2, Escape from New York. Number 3, Halloween. Number 4, In the Mouth of Madness. And number 5, Big Trouble in Little China.
And I'm following my appearance on the Gladiator episode, where in traditional fashion, I exclude the film and or the actor we were talking about, because we all know that's going to be number 1. So my top 5, The Thing would have been number 1, but
this guy.
Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13, Big Trouble in Little China, In the Mouth of Madness, and then Christine. So
All out.
I was just thinking over this. The only overlap we have is, I want to say, outside of The Thing, Halloween, Big Trouble in Little China. Then I want to say we cover, like, with our top fives, probably eight of his films. Does that math out right? Like, that's pretty crazy that you can have that kind of filmography.
Yeah. Well, as we were talking about, like, we're not saying it because we're like fanboys. John Carpenter has a great filmography.
Well, and I think a lot of mine too, like if you go to Letterboxd ratings, I would say the movies that I have in those 4 or 5 slots, like In the Mouth of Madness, Christine, I have rated the same as like They Live and The Fog and other films like that. It's just a matter of preference as to how they're getting, ranked.
The probably more harder and difficult top 5 I asked you guys to do was your top 5 Kurt Russell roles. Again, I will go first.
This was an exciting one.
Yeah, so my number one, you might not have heard of this one. It's called The Thing. It's R.J. McCready. Just one of the most like just badass, and it's one of them. Like a lot of iconic characters that are from the 80s and 70s don't necessarily hold up well today because they're like, okay, they're not exactly the nicest value of people, but R.J. McCready's just a badass and just holds up great. My number 2, this might not even make your guys 5, but I love this role for Kurt Russell. It is Death Proof and Stuntman Mike.
God, I still need to see that.
He is so, that man is having fun in that film.
That's
and
what
it
I've
comes
heard.
across. Then I've got Jack Burton, Big Trouble in Little China. Like it's great. It's iconic as well. Like Kurt Russell's got so many iconic roles. I don't think people realize until they look at his filmography. Then my number 4, again, you guys might not have it. I don't know whether you've seen it. I love this film. I think it's super underrated. Bone Tomahawk and him playing Sheriff Hunt.
Very nice.
And then my number 5 is Tombstone and Wyatt Earp. I love me some Tombstone.
He has a lot of fun in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just talk about another film with like a Murderer's Row cast.
Oh, it's incredible.
In the Hall of Fame?
No, it's not.
Oh, well. Yeah. Well, we gotta change that. I mean, I guess it's time to break out the campaign signs again.
When the Hall of Fame voting's back, there's 2 films that are getting campaigned by people, and that will now be Tombstone and Bram Stoker's Dracula.
There we go. 2 different eras, too. Oh, no, I guess they would fall in the same, right? Yeah, because Dracula is not as early as I was thinking.
Post Godfather 3 Coppola.
Yeah.
Bam. All right. Kyle, you want to go? You want me to go again?
No, you go. You go ahead.
All
we'll
right.
stick in the same order.
All right. Kurt Russell, top 5. Shocker. I'm going to piggyback off of Morgan and steal his number 1. The Thing. Who would have thought that? Yeah, McCready's awesome.
If this was a draft, we are having a full-scale fight.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, Kyle's the only one prepared. He's like, well, I'm going to not include The Thing in my top 5. Kurt Russell. We already know that.
I mean, I have done that again, yes, where
I knew you did, yeah.
We
I
understand
sensed it.
It's number 1, but,
Of course. Yeah, McCready's a badass. He's awesome. He's a great protagonist. Number 2, Hateful Eight. I love John Ruth the Hangman. I think he's an awesome character, and I think Kurt Russell is great as him. And also just a good movie.
That was a fringe one for me, yeah.
We got number 3, Escape from New York. Super iconic role from Kurt Russell. Call Me Snake, Call Me Pliskin. He's a lot of fun in that one.
I knew either of you will have it on, so that's why I felt comfortable leaving it off, because I knew it'd get a mention.
Don't worry, we got you, Morgan. Number 4, Jack Burton, Big Trouble, Little China. I think Kurt Russell is hilarious in this movie. I thought he was so funny. He's just a big, dumb sidekick, and it's a lot of fun. Actually, I think it's one of his more unique roles.
We mentioned earlier, obviously, Jeff Bridges. This is that for me is like his Big Lebowski, where it's like he's just having fun.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. I like that, actually. Yeah, it's just I'm just having fun, having a good time. And
I mean, Carpenter was having fun too with some of the weird shit that happens in that movie.
Yes.
Where just like, the stone disappears and this like weird monster pokes its head out for a second and then disappears again. And it's like, what the hell was that in here for?
It's the
Big Trouble's after the thing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Because I think it was, because I think Carpenter really appreciated that Kurt Russell was like, he just wanted to make a movie, and Carpenter was like, I've flopped like so many times now at the box office, and he's like, I don't care, I want to work with you. Right. So I like that. That's a testament to Kurt Russell's character, I think. And our number 5 pick, I did this for you, Kyle. I did this for us, actually, because we got called out on a sports pod. So I had to make sure. Okay. So we were going to avenge each other. I like that. That's good.
Well,
see, that teamwork makes dream work. Look at that. Well, who do you play for? USA, Miracle Baby. I'm not getting clowned about that again. So I got to rectify some wrongs.
I too, not to spoil my pick, but I also had that. I actually only have one that hasn't been listed yet, but I will rip through mine here. McCready obviously is the inherent number 1, but then we've got Wyatt Earp, already mentioned, John Ruth, Hateful Eight, Herb Brooks for Miracle, Jack Burton, Big Trouble in Little China, and then I put at number 5 his role as Cash in Tango and Cash, just because I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but it's like a buddy cop where he's doing this two-hander with Sylvester Stallone. And their chemistry back and forth is pretty good. It's one of those, like, I can't remember if it's 80s or 90s when it came out, but it's that era. They're just all, oiled up, muscly, shooting guns, getting the babes. It's
sick one-liners.
It's a silly movie, but it's one I saw early on and have always had a little love for. So I wanted to shout him out in Tango and Cash.
Love it. And then the final one and the big one, because this is where we could differ massively or we could surprisingly match up. I asked you guys, if The Thing was made today, who would you choose as your director and who would you choose as your McCready? Myself, I wrote down 3 directors and 3 actors because I feel like there's multiple ways you could go and we get a couple mentions. And again, if you're listening, let me know what your choices would be. So sticking with the same order, I will go first. My 3 directors, I feel like, cover different, because I don't think there's somebody directing necessarily now that can do everything like John Carpenter does. So I've kind of split my directors into, that guy's more horror and disgusting stuff, and then this guy's better for holding tension, and this guy touches sci-fi. So the directors I thought, where I was like, they could make a good director for a Thing remake. I've got Denis Villeneuve, because I think he's a modern sci-fi master, and like he would go real in depth with probably a lot of the Thing's origin. Not necessarily like spoiling what it looks like, but I think it would be more coded sci-fi, which I don't think would be too far out the lines for the Thing.
It's funny that you mentioned Villeneuve real quick, just because I also had thought of him because of Arrival, because he has kind of dipped his toes in. I think, to your point, it would probably lay off the body horror a little bit. You could still get it. It would definitely lead more into the sci-fi, but that was one I considered.
I think a perfect example of could he direct the Thing? Yes, and Arrival's not my example. Prisoners is, because you want to talk about a director who can hold goddamn tension in a film.
Yeah. Wow. Good pull.
What a plot twist.
When it comes to, I think you're the Thing, I think nobody could do that better than Denis Villeneuve.
No, that's great.
Another guy, again, which one of our most diversive directors. You either love him or you hate him. But I think he could fit this world. It's Ari Aster.
Oh, interesting. That's a
Again,
wild card pick.
yeah, that's the one that kind of was in the back of my head. I'd watched Eddington, and I was like, this is holding tension like really well. And I was like, again, the tension more so than probably the horror, but I think if you kind of mix his tension building with, some of his films and mix it with Midsummer kind of vibe for the horror, that you could go in a weird direction, but I think it'd fit. And then this would kind of be my pick because he can hold tension and he does horror and he does horror really well. It's Robert Eggers. Obviously, it's not like a folk style horror like he normally does, but I mean, I think of our like horror directors, he might be the closest to like a Carpenter, maybe. And like, I feel like he can tackle a bunch of different genres, and he'd do a great job.
My only thing with Eggers is his aversion to doing anything like modern, and I worry that The Thing would fall in a world that, even though it's, do we know when it's set in the 80s, correct?
I
Like the
believe it
film
is,
is
yeah.
set,
Yeah.
because I was gonna say, like, I wonder if, I know he said it before, who knows, his career's obviously still very early, but I wonder if he'll ever soften that stance and
Yes.
make
That's the
something
only
more
thing
modern.
that's the only thing where I was like, okay, that doesn't fit, but like everything else from his directing fits The Thing, I think.
I think he could do it for sure.
Well, I think the
Yeah.
original thing came out in what, the late 40s, early 50s? Because I think he said the farthest he would go is like the 50s. So he could just do the Thing story in like the 30s,
right from the
40s.
top.
It would just kind of be like
that-
At the Mountains of Madness, H.P. Lovecraft, because that's like set in that time period, I believe, and it's not the same thing, but similar-isk.
Yeah.
Right.
And then my choices for RJ McCready. First one, we have a slight bit of nepotism. You could just cast White Russell.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yep.
I mean, I think he's a pretty good actor for like a nepo baby actor. And obviously the looks are there. And I mean, I think he'd do a real solid job. Then my other two options, one it just come to me because I watched the trailer, or seen the advert for a certain 28 years later. So I thought, oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson, looks wise especially,
Oh,
could
that's
be
not a
Oh,
bad
yeah.
pick. Yeah, he could do
could be
that.
a fun RJ McCready. And then
Honestly, to point, if you just pulled his character out of 28 years later and plopped
Yeah.
him there. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously they are both in the 30s, so in the range of what Russell was when he filmed the Thing. But going outside and breaking that mold, I think if you go for an older guy playing RJ McCready, Josh Brolin would be fantastic.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how about you guys?
All right, what did I come up with? Well, I originally just had one director, and then Morgan, you made me feel like I should come up with a couple more to throw out there. So my original choice was, this is surprise. Actually, I'm curious if Kyle was expecting this. I mentioned him earlier, Fede Alvarez.
Weird.
I know.
Funny enough, I had him written down originally, and I was like, both of these might choose this. So again, I'm going to go and select somebody that they might not.
Damn, you know us too well, Morgan.
I listen. I'm not lying. I listen.
Hey, we appreciate it.
I think, off of like what I said earlier, 2013 Evil Dead, and then what he did with Alien Romulus, so he can take on franchises like that have such an existing history. So I think he'd be a perfect fit for doing a modern thing. Another one, staying down in South America, another director that I really like and I'm looking forward to seeing some more from, Damien Rubna, who did When Evil Lurks, which is another personal favorite of mine.
You're such a piece of shit.
Are these literally like two of your director picks?
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
I have one more, and now I'm so
yeah, bring Ben with me to the Hall of Fame so you can fucking spoil all my picks. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ben, can you go 3 for 3?
Yeah.
That's man. Kyle, does your third pick have anything to do with the substance?
No.
Oh,
But
okay.
I did consider if you're going where I think you're going, that's I had considered it. Yes,
that is a great pick.
So yeah, Coralie. I actually have no idea how to pronounce her last name.
Farge, I believe.
Farge, yeah.
Farge. Okay, wow, man. Oof. Shot in the dark. I think she'd be great, and I honestly, if she wanted to just like gender flip this film, I think that would be fun to watch as well. If they just made it like just an all women research team, even I think that would be crazy.
There are some great actress choices for McCready.
So I think that would be. I think she, at the very least, I think she would maybe make me vomit. Because she got really close with the substance.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Chicken
so don't worry,
drumsticks
Kyle.
are plenty.
I will not throw any more names out. I don't want to. No more directors. Hypothetical lead.
Actors here?
I only picked one for actor, so
okay.
I'm gonna hope I didn't just
so got
bullseye you.
You've got the same as Kyle.
Yeah. So hypothetical lead. I picked Tom Hardy. I think.
that was a guy I almost wrote down.
Yeah, I think he would be great. Like just like the whole paranoia and everything like that. Like I think he would take McCready to a real dark place. And I think he'd be a lot of fun to follow as a lead.
That's a great
not
choice.
A guy I considered, but damn, yeah, that's a good pull.
Because he can melt into the background as almost like a sidekick, like McCready does at some points in the thing.
Right.
Yeah. And then, he can just step up and assert his authority when he needs to. And, I think he would be fun watching him do battle with the Thing.
Right, Kyle.
Well,
any picks left, Kyle?
Yeah. Well, not really. I've only, it's okay because we're really, running up here. I know Morgan.
It's a good thing we got a podcast together.
We're
coming up with the same ideas.
I know. So to not just repeat the ones that you guys have had, but I did also have Fede Alvarez and Denis on my list. I'm surprised neither of you said this one. But I actually, and I cheated a little bit because I want them to be the tandem here. But I went Alex Garland, Danny Boyle.
Ooh,
I can see it.
I was thinking, I had in my head like Sunshine mixed with Annihilation, a little bit like something in there. Like I think maybe the tone would be off a little bit, and it might be a little too weird. Like if they made The Thing, I might even hate it, but. Like I couldn't help but think about it. Like
I see it getting greenlit. Yeah,
I think those are because especially with Garland and Boyle, it is so. You're like for me anyway. It feels like I'm either gonna love it or I'm gonna really pick this apart and not get what they wanted me to get out of it. So I had those guys there. I think it could be good. And then as far as playing McCready, I also had Wyatt Russell and Josh Brolin. A sneaky pick, and I think just because
we really both did you in there. I'm sorry.
Guys really just absolutely.
When I in the future hopefully start doing draft episodes, I'm inviting you singularly. You're not coming on together.
That's probably a good choice. I was gonna say we can tell it's Bone Temple weekend because I'm here getting boned in this exercise. But the last actor I had for McCready, and I'm really pulling recency bias, and he would have to get a little bit older, but because of his performance in The Long Walk, I said Cooper Hoffman.
Ooh, okay.
It would be a completely different role. We haven't seen enough from him yet, but I think what he did in The Long Walk showed enough that he at least can have this back and forth, and he also can be a leader. And does that translate into this situation? Maybe not, but it's all just for fun, and that sounded fun.
That's a good off the wall pick.
Speaking of 28 years later, another guy, if you're going older, Cillian Murphy, I think, would do a great job.
I think that's another good pick.
just because, like, especially in the tension scenes, I don't think there's a better actor with eye acting than Cillian Murphy.
I want Cillian Murphy, but specifically after he has bed Florence Pugh and he's sitting in the chair with his legs crossed.
Yes.
That's the only one I want in the
That's
thing.
the only acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our picks, and that was our podcast on the thing. As we mentioned, let us know who you would choose in a Thing remake, who you think was infected first, and everything else we ask you guys to comment and message us about. And before we sign off, guys, what do you have planned in the future to let everybody know to watch out for over on your podcast?
We are back from our break over at Cinemillennials, and we're just continuing every Monday. We release a podcast, 7 a.m. Eastern time. We are actually, I guess it'll depend on when this drops, but we are in the middle of predicting Oscars. We'll be talking about 28 years later, the Bone Temple at some point. Just keeping up on the same style we came from last year. And Mondays, every Monday, a new episode. Check us out at Cinemillennials, wherever you get your podcast.
Awesome.
You got anything, Ben?
You took the words right out of my mouth. It's season 2, bigger, bolder, more movies.
Yeah, and after Ben stole all my picks, the Cinemillennials might actually just
I didn't want to steal your thunder,
Cinemillennial.
so I thought I'd let you just have that moment.
Yeah, you're gonna notice the next time you listen to Cinemillennials, it's only gonna be one guy. It's gonna be really weird.
Well, with technical difficulties, we might just have to only be one guy.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, as for me, I will be constantly dropping podcasts throughout the year, and obviously we're in the middle of awards season, so I will be doing a hell of a lot of Oscar predictions and reactions and all sorts of stuff like that on my channel and on other people's podcasts and channels as well. And thank you everybody so much for listening to this. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.